Okay, for this lecture, I want to talk about a couple of topics. Getting ready to start writing your own full piece, your full essay. I want to kind of just give a little bit of an overview and also to look at the idea of audience, what your purpose is for this writing, and also some ideas about structuring your essay, topic sentences. So basically an overview of looking at writing an academic essay. So I'm sure you've been introduced to the writing process before, but I just wanted to give you an overview of it because writing is a process, meaning if you're doing it right, you're not going to be writing without following certain steps. Um, you don't have to follow these steps that I have on the screen here completely or, necessarily for every single assignment, but in general, you want to think about how am I going to get this essay assignment done, especially for the longer works like the research paper. You have the pre-writing section. Now, some people are very organized and they're going to spend a lot of time outlining or using index cards. Whatever your process is, it's the idea that I am going into this assignment, into this piece of writing with a structure. Then you do the developing planning. I think we can see it as a little bit of research. But this is where, if you're jotting notes down and you're just trying to figure out where am I going to do this essay, what do I think I'm going to write about, and that's in the pre-writing stage. When you're developing planning, you're gathering your sources, you're really fleshing out your paragraph points, and this is where it's starting to fully develop. Then you write your first draft. So there could be space and time, especially again with the longer works, that there's going to be in between your pre-writing to your first draft. Or sometimes you're going to be given a shorter essay assignment and you're sitting down and you're doing your pre-writing and planning and then your first draft in one session. So it's entirely possible. But once you get that first draft down, you might want to set it aside. You might be relieved that you finally have finished it, right? And now you want to set it aside and come back to it in a few days or a day or two later and look at it with a fresh eye and start your revision. All good writing is revised. There's no way around it. If you want to be a successful writer, you need to get that into your head. Because the first time something is done, it does not mean that that's the total product. You want to really refine it and polish it, and that is good writing. Anything you read, a novel or a nonfiction text, you're definitely going to see that you're going to see the product of somebody who has not just spit out what they just thought, but that has gone back and they have maybe moved things around, taken things out that were not important. In essence, they have revised. And the final part of the writing process is editing. And this is something that I really want to stress to you because, as I've noted before, when I was giving you the common style problems, if you are having grammatical errors, you're having homonym errors, this is where you fix it. This is where you don't hand in something that looks slapped together, You want to make sure you have fixed your sentence fragments, or you've used the proper there, for example. Okay, so that's just the quick overview of the writing process. And here is the basic 5-paragraph essay. I can't say that I'm a huge fan of the 5-paragraph essay, but I'm giving it to you so you have an idea of how do you outline things. I am sure that you have been introduced to this before, but again, take a look at it if you need to refresh your memory. The basic 5 paragraphs starts out with the very first paragraph is going to be your introduction, and this is where you give your thesis statement. The body, the next 3 paragraphs, all support 3 different areas that you are going to be writing about under your thesis, and then you conclude in your 5th paragraph, you conclude your entire essay. This is something to rely on, especially when you're writing a shorter essay and you think, I'm not really confident, or I'm not really sure how I'm going to structure this, so I'm going to follow this 5-paragraph format to help me get my essay together. But our goal should be to move away from having such a highly structured essay, and where, you know, when you write an essay in the beginning, you're going to be introducing things and you're going to have your thesis. It doesn't have to be in the first paragraph. And then you're going to develop your thesis throughout the body, but it doesn't have to just be 3 paragraphs. And of course, at the end, you're always going to conclude, but it doesn't have to be paragraph number 5, if that makes sense. As you are expanding your writing, you don't have to constrain yourself to these structure of 5 paragraphs. All right, so now I want to talk a little bit about audience, and I'm going to show you some examples on the next slide. When you are writing, you have to ask yourself who your audience is, what your purpose is, and even what type of writing are you doing. So, of course, when we're talking about if our audience is our boss or potential boss, you know that you need to be very formal in your writing for the most part, very professional. Same thing if your audience is your teacher and this is an academic paper you're writing, you know that your style needs to reflect that, or you should know your style needs to reflect that. The next part is, what is your purpose? What is the purpose of writing a cover letter? To get a job. You get to get a job, right? So you would want to do all of those words that I have there. You want to convince, you want to inform, you want to persuade. You go into writing this going, what's my purpose? My purpose is I need to get a job out of why I'm writing this cover letter. You're writing an academic essay. What's your purpose? Well, maybe you're writing a persuasive essay. Your purpose is to persuade. Your ultimate purpose probably is to get a good grade, right? And again, the type of writing coincides with what the purpose is. Is it a structured type of writing? Are you writing a narrative? Do you have to follow that kind of style? Or is it a research paper? Then you have to follow that type of style. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now, for the next slide, let's take a moment to notice some emails that I have received from students in the past. Well, you can pause and you can read at your pleasure, but I want to stress to you that don't write emails to your English professor or any professor in these fashions, because what does this reflect about the student? If your audience is your professor and your purpose is to persuade, these are not the most persuasive emails that can be done. You know, we'll take a look at this one here. I hope you understand. I'm going to send you the rest. I don't know if it matters anymore. Well, at least they spelled anymore, right? They didn't do N-E, letter N-E. Even if the semester is over, if I just have a C, I don't care. I promise to send all the rest, but It's up to you. It is with an apostrophe. Have a good Christmas. See you around next semester. I understand if you can't do anything with my journal entries with my grade. Okay. Well, I'm not feeling that this student is being persuasive enough because they're not respecting who their audience is, which is their English professor. Don't do that. Again, this is just here for you if you want to pause and you can look and you can say, wow, this is probably not the way I should be writing. If you pay attention to this up here, this actually shows not so much the spelling, but the tone. Emailing you again for a more in-depth description on this research paper. Please email me back ASAP, like with these big caps. And again, I'm not like this big fussy person, but this is not the tone that you want to set when you are communicating with people in writing. You want to be respectful. You want your tone to reflect, you know, something not so stressful as those big, large caps. So just, you know, notice that. Here are some more examples of actual assignment submissions. So now we have, you know, I showed you some examples of incorrect ways to write and communicate to your professor. Now, if you are in a class, should you be submitting work that looks like this? Because this is your class work, right? This is the writing you are handing in for a grade. And what does these examples say to me? It says the person who is writing this is not respecting the learning process, and they're not respecting themselves. If you're handing in work for a grade and this is what it looks like, you might want to think about things. Let's take a look here. Let's look at this one. What this is saying about their love is deep inside they love each other, no separation. And the love is a obsessive that people have for each other. I don't know why. Does this student think that each other is one word? I don't get it. But no, that's not a good answer. It's not presented correctly, and it's not grammatically correct, and it's also not really explaining the answer. So I just wanted to show you these to get you in the right frame of mind. Okay, so let's look at developing paragraphs. You just want to, again, this is a structure to follow. The topic sentence is now your mini thesis. So you have your entire essay and you have your thesis statement for the entire essay. Now each individual paragraph is about something specific. You don't want to add, you know, different information at the end of a paragraph. No, then you start a new paragraph. So this paragraph that you're writing is about this topic that supports your ultimate thesis statement, right? So essay, thesis statement. Thesis statement supports the entire essay, individual paragraphs, topic sentence. Each topic sentence is supported in that paragraph, and it all comes together to make a beautiful essay. You are going to support your paragraph. You're going to support it if it's a research paper, you know, with examples, facts, or if it's a narrative, you're going to give details about your experiences. And then you conclude each paragraph and you transition into the next paragraph. So here is this paragraph. I gave you this information on this topic. We are now segueing into the next topic, and I'm going to give you another paragraph. So follow that structure. Just to get a little bit more of an example, if my point is Nala is a great pet, and that is a picture of my cat, by the way, but she kept blinking because the flash kept going off. I'm going to write a paragraph about Nala is a great pet. So my topic sentence here is going to be, my cat Nala has an outgoing, almost human personality. Okay? So what are the details that I'm going to do to support in my paragraph? Nala comes running when you call her name. She doesn't like other animals, which is true. Um, she likes to sleep with me. That sounds weird, but you know what I mean. She gives me cat massages. Also, that's another thing, you know, where the cat kind of needs you with their claws. Um, so I'm going to develop this paragraph to show that my cat is friendly, and she has a personality, basically, with details. So let's look at the next. This is an example, and let's go through this one here. My mother was a harsh disciplinarian. Topic sentence. When I did something wrong, no matter how small, she would inflict serious punishment. She made up a list of rules and regulations for me to follow, and she never bent the rules, no matter what circumstances came up. Rules not observed to the letter were dealt with severely, and there were no exceptions as far as my mother was concerned. So pause for a second here. Let's think about this. Is this a good paragraph? What is it saying? The point. What are specific examples? Well, we know the paragraph is trying to say that my mother was a harsh disciplinarian, and that's what the point is. But there really are no specific examples. I can read this, I have a sense of what this person is trying to say. However, I'm not getting any details whatsoever. What rules? What serious punishment? I mean, if you stayed out all night and you didn't come home in time for curfew, and your mother locked you in the basement with no food for a week, that would be serious punishment, right? So, give me some exact ideas. Rules not observed to the letter were dealt with severely. So, what's your definition of severely? I, didn't put my dishes in the dishwasher, and my mom said I can't play Nintendo for a week. I don't know, but you have to give the reader those kind of details. So this would be a paragraph, an example of writing that has a lot of words, but actually doesn't say anything. Let's look at another paragraph. Building a wooden deck can be an enjoyable project only if you take certain precautions. Get a building permit before you start. If you do not have one, you may have to tear down everything you have built when the town's building inspector learns of your project. Also, purchase pressure-treated lumber for any posts that will be set into the ground. Ordinary wood, not treated with preservatives, will eventually rot from contact with soil and moisture. So let's ask ourselves those same questions. We have the topic sentence, building a wooden deck can be an enjoyable project only if you take certain precautions. Okay, so it does give us, some specific examples. It's probably not the most interesting paragraph you have ever read, but, it does tell us about the precautions that you need to take. I would say if I was reading this from my perspective, I think I might say I need to have a concluding sentence here that would reiterate that building a wooden deck can be an enjoyable project. So I would probably try to strengthen this paragraph a little bit more. One more, again, pause, take a look at it. What do you think? Overall, I think it's a pretty decent paragraph. It does give you a lot of examples, and it supports the idea. Some things are worse when they are improved. Okay? So again, a recap. Always use specific details, why it makes people want to read your work, which is really important. You actually make a point instead of having a bunch of words that you think are saying something but don't. And you want to be persuasive, hold people's attention. The whole idea is when you write without details, it's boring. And you don't want to be a boring writer. That's really what it comes down to. You want people for whatever situation you are in, you want people to want to read your work. Okay? I'm an example person. I'll just give you another example. Compare and contrast. Boring. When I was a teenager, calling a girl was torture. Okay, maybe that is so. So I'm reading the paper and, this kid is telling me when I was a teenager, calling a girl was torture. All right. How? Detailed. When I was a teenager, calling a girl would make my heart race, my pulse pound, and I would break out into a sweat. So just take a notice of those two differences, right? There's boring writing that makes a little bit of a point, but actually doesn't follow through. And then there's detailed, which is something that is fully supported. Let's look at one more slide. How do I do this? What are some detailed techniques? Here you can use questioning. Rhetorical questions are always a good idea to bring into your paper because you are involving your audience in the process. You ask a question that will be answered in your paper. But when you ask the question, it has the reader go, what do I think? And they answer the question in their head. Use personal stories or anecdotes. Statistics. We all know, right, that statistics are, manipulated and all that other kind of stuff. Still, they are very powerful when you put it in your writing. We are persuaded by statistics. Or you can give specific examples, and people also are persuaded about when you use specific examples. These are just techniques that enliven your writing a little bit. So just to give you this kind of overall idea, again, of things that I want you to be thinking of as you are writing for this class, stuff that you want to pay attention to. And so you can improve your writing and, well, be a great writer. Okay, thanks.